We're told from the moment we can walk that success is the goal. That to live well, we must win money, win praise, win followers, win titles. But what if that story is wrong? What if chasing success is the very thing keeping us trapped? That's what I want to explore with you right now, not because it's a clever idea, but because it might be the single greatest illusion of our time. The ancient philosophers, from Epictetus to Laozi, all warned us. The more we chase what isn't within our control, the more enslaved we become. Success, when defined by external metrics, is always just out of reach. Like a mirage. You run toward it, and it moves just a little further away. So here's the paradox: the more we chase success, the less free we become. But failure, real, raw failure, might just be the key that unlocks everything. Let's start with a personal confession. I, like most of you, grew up terrified of failure. I thought it meant I was weak, broken, not enough. I avoided it like fire. I overworked, I overplanned, I tried to predict every outcome. And at first it worked. I got the grades, the validation, the success. But something strange happened. The more I won, the more fearful I became. Why? Because success is fragile. It demands maintenance. It owns you. You can't rest, because the moment you do, someone else might take your place. It's like standing on a pedestal in an earthquake. You look tall, but all your energy is spent trying not to fall. And then one day I did fall, publicly, hard. And in that failure, after the panic and shame wore off, I felt something unexpected. I felt free.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
That's when I started reading failure not as defeat but as data. Failure tells the truth. Success often lies. When you fail, you see what's real. You see what mattered and what didn't. You see who stays beside you and who is only there for your image. You see yourself not as the person you pretend to be, but as the person you are. That's why the Stoics said misfortune is virtue's opportunity. They didn't romanticize pain, but they knew that failure is the only place ego dies. And when ego dies, you stop performing. You stop chasing. You start living. Because now you're not trying to be impressive. You're trying to be honest. And in honesty, there is power. Think about this. Every time you've grown, it's because something fell apart. A plan failed. A person left. A door closed. And in that space, the real transformation began. But we don't honor that. We hide our failures. We edit them out of our stories. And in doing so, we edit out our wisdom. Imagine if you stopped hiding your failures. What would that mean for you? What would it mean for your relationships, your creativity, your peace of mind? You would stop trying to be perfect and start becoming whole. And that is the real secret to freedom. Not escaping failure, but integrating it. Not denying your wounds, but walking with them openly, fearlessly, even joyfully. Because when you embrace failure, you no longer fear it. And when you no longer fear it, no one can control you. You were lied to why the fear of failure is the real prison, not the fall itself. Let's get real now. The fear of failure isn't natural, it's taught. It's planted in us like a virus, and the system keeps it alive because it makes us easier to control. Think about it. If you're afraid to fail, you won't take risks. You won't challenge authority. You won't follow your instinct. You'll follow the path that's been laid out for you, the safe, sanitized, socially approved path. And that path? It's not freedom. It's a leash. A velvet one, sure. One with praise and promotions and polite applause. But a leash nonetheless. And the second you dare to step off it, the fear kicks in. What if I lose everything? What if people laugh? What if I'm not who they thought I was? But here's the truth, you were never free on that path to begin with. You were just avoiding the fall. Not because it would break you, but because it would expose you. Let's go deeper. Why does failure feel so terrifying? Because it threatens the identity we've built. We've been trained to believe we are our achievements, our grades, our titles, our brands. So when we fail, we don't just lose something, we lose ourselves. Or so we think. But that's the lie. You are not your resume. You are not your follower count. You are not your success story. You are the awareness behind it all, the observer, the learner, the one who persists. And failure, brutal as it feels, strips away the false self. It peels the identity you've been clinging to. And once that happens, something extraordinary is possible, rebirth. Not a comeback, not a rebrand, but a realignment with who you always were beneath the performance. The ancient Stoics, the Buddhists, the Taoists, they all knew this truth. They didn't fear failure because they didn't worship success. They saw both as passing winds, neither defining the person, only revealing the path. Marcus Aurelius governed the Roman Empire, yet he wrote in his journal, "Success is not in never failing, but in not being ashamed to begin again." That's not just humility. That's freedom. Because the person who can begin again is the person who cannot be broken. You might fall, you might lose, you might be mocked. But if you can rise without bitterness, without ego, without needing to prove anything, you are untouchable. You are sovereign. And that is what success could never give you, but failure always can, inner sovereignty. Let me ask you something deep, maybe the most important question of this entire journey. What are you still chasing out of fear, pretending it's your dream? Sit with that. Because if your dream is just a shield from fear, it's not a dream, it's a cage. And the bars are made of expectations. Your parents, your peers, your younger selves. But you don't owe your life to a dream that no longer fits you. You owe it to the truth. And truth often lives in the wreckage. In the moment the plan falls apart. In the silence, after the applause stops. That's where you meet yourself. That's where real purpose is forged, not in comfort, but in collapse. And if you've ever had your world fall apart, you know exactly what I mean. You didn't die. You became real. The warrior who falls, how embracing loss makes you invincible. Here's the final truth most people never discover. The person who is no longer afraid to fall becomes the most powerful force in any room. Why? Because they are not playing to win at someone else's game. They are not trying to impress, avoid judgment, or cling to a storyline that makes them look good. They are playing for something deeper: truth, alignment, liberation. And that kind of person, you can't manipulate them. You can't shame them. You can't buy them. Because they've already failed. They've already hurt. They've already endured loss and lived to tell the tale. This is what the Stoics meant when they said the wise person is invincible, not because they never suffer, but because they've trained their soul to rise again and again, each time more whole than before. Think of the warrior, not the one who's never lost a battle, but the one who keeps showing up after defeat. Their scars are not weaknesses, they're credentials. They've seen the worst, and they've chosen to keep loving, to keep creating, to keep being. That's a different kind of strength, one you can't fake, one you can't buy, one you can't learn in a course. You earn it by falling. And when you stop seeing falling as failure, you begin to see life itself more clearly. You stop asking, how do I win? And start asking, how do I evolve? That question changes everything. It makes you curious instead of controlling, humble instead of anxious, and free in a way too few people ever taste, because you no longer need the world to validate your worth. We live in a culture obsessed with the highlight reel. But the real story, the human story, is in the behind the scenes. It's in the tears after the loss, the silence after the rejection, the choice to try again, not for applause, but because something inside you refuses to quit. That's your soul speaking. That's the part of you no failure can touch. And when you live from that place, you become dangerous, not in a violent way, but in a free way. Because the world can't bribe you with approval or threaten you with rejection. You've already made peace with both. You don't need the trophy. You've already found the treasure. So let me leave you with one final question, the one that could change everything. If you knew you could fail and still be loved, still be worthy, still be enough, what would you dare to do? Would you start the thing you've been putting off for years? Would you walk away from the life that's slowly killing your spirit? Would you finally act not from fear, but from truth? That's the invitation. That's the secret. Not to win every battle, but to become unbreakable in your soul. Because the real secret to freedom isn't found in chasing success. It's found in no longer fearing failure. And if this video cracked something open in you, if it made you breathe a little deeper, stand a little taller, or feel a little braver, then share it. Someone out there is still trapped in the illusion of success. And they need to know the fall doesn't kill you. The fear does. Break free. Fall forward. And rise, not as who you were, but as who you were meant to be. There's one more thing we need to talk about, maybe the most important thing. I didn't include it earlier because it doesn't fit into the usual success narrative. It doesn't make for a flashy quote or a viral soundbite, but it's the heart of everything we've explored so far. Ready? Freedom is not a destination. It's a decision. Not a peak you climb once, plant your flag on, and declare I've made it. No, freedom is the choice you make in every moment to return to truth, your truth. Especially when it's inconvenient. Especially when it makes you look strange or foolish or unpredictable to others. Especially when it costs you success. Because that's when you know your freedom is real. When you're willing to lose everything except yourself. And let's be honest, this isn't easy. The world rewards the mask. It rewards the grind. It tells you to keep pushing, keep optimizing, keep winning. But what if the prize isn't worth the price? What if the thing you're chasing is making you numb, bitter, anxious, hollow? That's not freedom. That's performance addiction. And the cure is not more success. It's more surrender. Surrender to the truth of where you are. Surrender to the fact that you can't control how others see you. Surrender to the idea that maybe failing spectacularly is the only way to finally live a life that's yours. And once you stop resisting that, you stop suffering. Not because the pain disappears, but because you stop believing that pain means something's gone wrong. Sometimes pain means something's finally going right. You see, to embrace failure is to embrace reality. And reality, when you stop fighting it, is astonishingly generous. It gives you clarity. It gives you depth. It gives you the kind of fulfillment that success can't touch. Because it's not based on outcomes, it's based on alignment. And when you live in alignment, you become magnetic. People sense it. Not because you're winning, but because you're whole. And wholeness is what we're all starving for, even if we don't know how to say it. We don't need more perfection. We need more permission to be messy, to start again, to fail without shame, and to rise with wisdom. So if you take nothing else from this journey, take this: you don't need to win to be free. You don't need to succeed to be worthy. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone, not even yourself. You just need to show up fully, honestly, fearlessly. Because the moment you stop chasing success and embrace failure not as an enemy, but as a teacher, you stop surviving and you start living. And that, my friends, is the real secret to freedom. If this video helped you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who's been chasing, grinding, hiding, performing. Let them know you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be true. Now go fail boldly, live freely, and never forget you were never meant to be controlled.